What if I told you that every person, every event, every circumstance in your life is you? That your world is not reacting to you, but is being projected by you? If you truly understood this one secret, that everything is you, you would never be the same again. Let me show you how to rule your world by first discovering who you truly are. There was a time when I stood before a man who deeply insulted me, criticized me, doubted me, rejected my ideas, and humiliated me in front of others. I remember walking away burning with anger. But later that night, something stirred within me, not from pride, but from awareness. I asked myself, how could this man reflect such contempt unless it lived somewhere in me? So I sat quietly and assumed the opposite. I imagined this same man praising my wisdom, honoring my words, treating me as a friend. I persisted night after night, not to change him, but to correct the state within me. And in a matter of days, that same man came back with tears in his eyes, apologized, and thanked me for what I once said. That is when I realized everything is you. There is no one to change but self. There is no outer world independent of your assumptions. You are the operant power, the one source, the center of all things. Your imagination creates reality. Your consciousness is God. And if you will dare to believe that you are the creator, that you are God in human form, and live from the end, then the world must bow to your inner conviction. Now, let me show you what this means and how to rule your world. Whether you know it or not, you are always assuming, and every assumption you entertain, whether fearful or joyful, goes into the subconscious and becomes your world. You are not learning to manifest. You are remembering that you've always been doing it. Your outer life is the picture. Your inner beliefs are the brush. The world is a mirror, reflecting back the content of your subconscious identity. People do not behave toward you according to who they are, but according to who you assume yourself to be in relation to them. Your relationships are inner conversations played out in 3D form. Stop fighting the mirror. Change the face behind it. The only way to rule your world is through feeling. When you feel something deeply, joy, power, love, confidence, your subconscious accepts it as truth. That feeling becomes your new command. You do not beg, you assume. You do not wait, you embody. To feel it real is to speak the only language your reality obeys. You rule your world by impressing the subconscious mind with dominant inner images and tones. This is done in silence, in stillness, in repetition. Speak to yourself as you would to a child you love. Tell it who you are and what is yours. Feed it with inner conversations that align with the life you desire. Everything begins with your concept of self. If you see yourself as poor, unloved, overlooked, the world confirms it. But if you dare to claim a new identity, I am wealthy, I am chosen, I am worthy, the entire universe bends to this new assumption. You are not fixing the world, you are waking up to your divine reflection. You must dwell in the state of your fulfilled desire. You must live as though your wish were already fact. Do not hope, do not try, assume. This is not denial of current facts, but the rearrangement of your attention. You live from the unseen, and the seen will rearrange to match it. Within the infinite field of consciousness, all versions of you are alive now. The confident you, the rich you, the beloved you. You do not need to create them. You only need to assume the identity and let your vibration do the selection. The 3D world will echo what your 4D inner eye sees. When your inner conviction becomes stronger than the appearance of facts, you become unstoppable. Doubt disappears. Delay evaporates. The world reflects your unwavering stance. Reality must yield to the one who knows. Everything is me. I am the source, the cause, and the creator of my experience. Whether you are aware of it or not, you are already creating. Moment by moment, breath by breath, assumption by assumption. This process is not something that begins when you learn a technique, repeat an affirmation, or sit in silent meditation. It began long before you knew it. From the moment you began to form concepts about yourself and your world, you were shaping your reality. The very act of being conscious is to be creative. The only difference between the deliberate creator and the unconscious one is awareness. Most people believe that manifestation is something you do, something you initiate at will, like turning on a machine. But the truth is far simpler and far more radical. You are not learning how to manifest, you are simply becoming conscious of what you have always been doing. You are remembering the law, not inventing it. Every assumption you hold, every idea you entertain about who you are, what the world is, and what others are like, those ideas become the structure upon which your entire reality is built. They are not passive thoughts floating through the mind. They are causes. The law does not ask for your permission to operate. It functions without fail, with mathematical precision, regardless of your recognition. If you assume you are always overlooked, unworthy, or unlucky, the world will show you just that, not to punish you, but because that is the substance of your belief. If you carry the conviction that life is difficult, people are selfish, or love is rare, then these convictions take root in the subconscious and blossom into the circumstances of your life. That is why nothing changes until you change your assumption. Every moment of the day, you are radiating an inner state. You are walking in a field of belief that surrounds you like an invisible aura. And this aura calls forth corresponding conditions. It is never random. If your outer world is chaos, examine the order within. If your relationships are strained, examine the concepts you hold of yourself and others. For what you assume is true within, the world must reflect without. Your assumptions, though invisible, are louder than your words, more powerful than your actions, and more consistent than your efforts. You may wonder why certain patterns repeat in your life, why the same kind of people appear again and again, why the same doors seem to close regardless of your hard work or sincerity. It is not fate nor coincidence, it is the law in motion. Until the inner script changes, the outer play cannot shift. The actors may change, but the roles they play will remain the same. Change the script, and the whole stage transforms. This is not to condemn, but to awaken. For the moment you realize that you are the cause, you also realize that you are the key. And once you become conscious of your assumptions, you gain the ability to revise them. You begin to select your inner conversations with care, for you know they are not idle. You begin to observe your reactions, your feelings, your expectations, because they are writing the blueprint of what is to come. There is great freedom in this knowledge. You are not a victim of circumstance, nor are you bound by your past. The moment you choose a new assumption and persist in it, truly dwell in it as if it were already so, the world begins to reflect this new cause. The change may not appear immediately, for the echo of old assumptions may still resound. But if you remain faithful to the inner shift, the outer must conform. It is law. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot assume abundance and simultaneously worry about lack. You cannot assume love and expect betrayal. You cannot assume success and prepare for failure. To assume is to commit. It is to embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled so fully that there is no room for contradiction. This assumption, once accepted by the subconscious, becomes your new identity. And identity is destiny. Begin to notice what you habitually assume. Do you expect to be understood or ignored? Do you walk through life believing people are kind or cruel? Do you secretly believe things work out for you or that life is against you? These are not casual thoughts. They are assumptions. And if you keep them, they will keep you. Let no one else define the limits of your world. Your assumptions are sovereign. They are sacred. No matter how persistent a problem may seem, it is never more powerful than a sustained inner shift. And though the facts may scream otherwise, the law does not bend to facts. It bends to faith. Facts are only hardened assumptions from yesterday. Change the assumption, and the facts will change. You do not need to fight, force, or manipulate. You only need to assume. Assume the highest truth about yourself. Assume the outcome you desire. Assume that you are already what you long to be. Let that feeling become your dwelling place. And from that place, watch your world rearrange itself in quiet obedience to your inner command. Your world is a mirror, and this mirror does not lie. It cannot lie. It only reflects. What you see outside is the outpicturing of what you are within. The outer world is not acting upon you, it is responding to you. It is not independent or objective, it is in every respect yourself, pushed out, your own consciousness clothed in circumstance. Many believe the world is an external force, something separate, something fixed and factual, but this is a grave illusion. The world is not a series of events happening to you. It is a reflection of states happening within you. You are never encountering strangers. You are always meeting your assumptions made manifest. Whether it is a friend who uplifts you or a critic who condemns you, you are meeting yourself in some form. When you look into a mirror, you do not blame the reflection for what you see. You understand instinctively that if you want to change the image, you must change the source. So it is with life. The error lies in trying to manipulate the mirror rather than transform the face. You cannot change the outer world by effort, by complaint, or by resistance. You can only change it by changing your inner state. Your inner state is a vibration, a fusion of belief, self-concept, and expectation. This state emits a signal that the outer world receives and duplicates. It is not emotional reactivity that creates. It is the state you dwell in. A momentary feeling may come and go, but the state you return to again and again becomes your reality. If you are continually met with delay, rejection, or sorrow, you must ask yourself not, why is this happening to me? But rather, what within me is calling this forth? The mirror is not cruel. It is precise. It is the perfect servant of your inner conviction. If you believe people are unkind, you will always encounter cruelty. If you believe life is abundant, you will encounter increase. These outcomes are not a reward or punishment. They are the natural expression of the law. They are evidence of the state you inhabit. Many speak of bad luck, of circumstances beyond their control, of people who interfere with their desires. But this is a misunderstanding. You are not dealing with people or events. You are dealing with reflections. And until you take responsibility for the source, the reflections will persist. You may change partners, jobs, cities, but if you do not change the state, the reflection will remain the same in essence. Different faces, same patterns. This is why blame is powerless. Blame keeps you chained to the surface. It allows you to complain about the mirror while refusing to wash your own face. To take responsibility for your reality is not to accept guilt. It is to reclaim power. It is to understand that you and your world are not two, but one. When you assume a new state, you do not simply think different thoughts. You embody a new identity, and that identity carries with it a new script. The mirror changes because the actor has changed. But this change is not achieved through effort. It is achieved through assumption. You see the new state in imagination, you feel it as real, and you rest in it as though it were already accomplished. The reflection may lag behind. The old image may persist for a moment, but if you do not return to the old self, if you do not react to the lingering facts, the mirror must conform. Do not be fooled by the delay. The law is never broken. The world must become what you are within. What you call life is your own consciousness made visible. It contains no element that was not first accepted in thought and feeling. If there is chaos in the world, it is because there is chaos within. If there is harmony, then harmony has taken root in the soil of the self. There is no injustice that was not first tolerated in the secret conversations of the mind. You are not here to fix the world. You are here to awaken to your creative role within it. Every conversation you rehearse, every inner monologue you repeat, every image you entertain is forming your reflection. The universe does not choose what to reflect. It reflects what you give it. Give it the image of the love, and it returns love. Give it the image of the rich, and it returns abundance. Give it the image of the worthy, and it opens doors. Do not ask the mirror to smile while you frown. Do not expect warmth from others when you are cold within. The mirror does not initiate, it responds. You must initiate. You must choose the state, embody it, and persist in it until it becomes more real to you than the facts outside. The facts are yesterday's thoughts made flesh. You do not escape them by reacting. You transcend them by assuming anew. You are the center of your world. Everything rotates around the axis of your belief. And when you understand that the mirror is not separate from you, you cease to be a victim of reflection and become the master of vision. The world does not change because you wish it to. It changes because you change, because you see rightly, because you dare to imagine something greater and claim it as your own. And when you do, the mirror must obey. To understand the secret of creation, one must first understand the role of feeling. All things that appear in your world, every relationship, circumstance, or opportunity, are born not merely of thought, but of felt thought. Thought alone is like a blueprint. It is the outline, the design, but feeling is the life, the power, the breath that animates the structure and gives it reality. Without feeling, thought remains suspended, unborn. It floats in possibility but never takes root. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you feel to be true. This is the immutable law that governs the unseen and shapes the seen. The bridge between the invisible and the visible is not action, not effort, not time. It is the assumption sustained by emotion. The more deeply you feel something to be real, the faster it moves from shadow to form. It is not the words you speak aloud that are heard. By the deeper mind, it is the tone, the vibration behind those words. Feeling is the only language the subconscious understands, and it responds with perfect faith. Many attempt to change their world through willpower, forcing events, manipulating others, or striving endlessly, but effort made in opposition to the dominant inner state is fruitless. The outer world cannot override the law of vibration. No matter how sincere your actions may be, if your inner state contradicts them, your world remains unchanged. If you act with hope but feel despair, you perpetuate despair. If you speak abundance but feel lack, the echo is still poverty. It is always the feeling that forms the mold, and your experience must fill that mold. This is why imagining alone is not enough. One must feel the scene of the imagination until it is real, until the senses yield, until the facts fade, and only the inner vision remains. If you can feel yourself to be the one you long to become, without doubt, without resistance, then your world must conform to this new identity. Feeling is not a step in the process, it is the process. It is the living core that turns idea into experience. To feel something is not to wish it were so. It is to know it is so. When you truly feel yourself to be healthy, loved, prosperous, secure, the outer world begins to echo back these truths. You do not need to announce them. You do not need to prove them. You simply remain faithful to the state, and the world bends around your inner conviction. There is no need to beg reality to change. Reality is always following the lead of your assumption. But how does one generate feeling when the facts suggest otherwise? This is the true art. You must separate yourself from appearances. For appearances are only the residue of previous assumptions. They have no life of their own. They are delayed reflections, not current truths. To feel something new, you must turn away from the outer picture and turn inward. Go into the secret place where all things are made and see with the inner eye. Create the scene that matches your desire, not as a hope, but as a memory. Feel it to be done. Let us say you desire wealth. It is not enough to think of having money or to speak affirmations of prosperity. You must feel what it means to be rich. You must walk as though your steps are cushioned with ease. You must breathe with the rhythm of a secure man. You must look upon the world with the calm authority of one who has. This feeling, if sustained, becomes your state, and your state always outpictures itself. The same applies to love. If you long to be cherished, do not wait for someone to appear and prove it to you. Feel now the warmth of being chosen. Feel now the delight of being understood. Embrace the state of one who is adored. Let that feeling become more real to you than the absence of it. As you dwell in this inner tone, others will rise to reflect it, and those who cannot match it will fade without conflict. This is not pretense. It is not delusion. It is divine alignment. You are not escaping reality, you are selecting it. For all states exist now, and what you feel determines what you see. You do not need to earn a new life, you only need to feel your way into it. Feeling is the activator of the law. It is the spark that ignites the creative word. It is the signal to the universe that says, "This is who I am," and the universe, being impartial and perfect, replies, "As you say in your heart, so shall it be done." This is why your feeling must match your desire. To say one thing and feel another is to split the signal. The law cannot respond to contradiction. Let your inner world be saturated with a feeling of the wish fulfilled. Do not rehearse worry, disappointment, or fear. These are not harmless daydreams. They are creative acts. Every feeling is a seed. Choose them wisely, nourish them deeply, and let them grow into the life that mirrors your true self. You do not need to wait for anything outside of you to change. Begin now. Close your eyes. Enter the scene of your desire. Feel it as real. Remain there. Live in it. Let that feeling become your dwelling place. And from that state, all things will come, not as a reward, but as a reflection. There is a sacred chamber within you, a place where creation begins, a place no man sees, but all must pass through if they would change their world. This chamber is the subconscious mind. It is not subject to time. It does not reason, and it does not debate. It only accepts. It accepts whatever idea you persistently offer it, and with perfect fidelity it brings that idea to life. To impress the subconscious mind is to shape reality. And the method is not force, not begging, not effort, but repetition in stillness. You must know that the subconscious is the creative womb of existence. Whatever seed you plant in it, no matter how impossible or fantastic, must grow. But the seed must be planted properly, and that planting is done through assumption, through feeling, and through repetition. When you speak within, what do you say? Most people are unaware of the constant inner monologue running through their mind, the quiet conversations, the silent judgments, the tones of lack, doubt, and fear. These are not idle thoughts. They are impressions. Every repeated idea, once felt as true, is received by the subconscious as instruction. It does not question your words. It only reflects them. The key, then, is to become conscious of what you are feeding the inner mind, for it is always listening, always creating. You cannot lie to the subconscious. It knows what you believe, not what you wish. It responds to the tone behind your words. If you affirm, "I am wealthy," but feel anxious, that anxiety is what is impressed. If you visualize success, but carry shame, it is the shame that takes root. To reprogram the subconscious, you must first quiet the outer noise. You must withdraw your attention from the world of facts, from the senses, and enter the stillness where thought becomes form. In this sacred stillness, the veil between the conscious and subconscious is thinnest. This is why the state akin to sleep is so powerful. It is a twilight zone of impression. The conscious mind drifts and the subconscious becomes receptive. In this receptive state, choose the image of your desire. Speak it inwardly with clarity, not pleading, but as if speaking to a loyal servant. This is who I am now. This is what I possess. This is how I live. Feel the weight of the words. Let the vision be real, not distant, not hopeful, but present. See the result, hear the sound of success, smell the atmosphere of your new world. Imagination, when used properly, is the gateway into the subconscious. Repeat this inner scene until it becomes familiar. Repetition is not mere habit, it is the hammer that forges belief. The subconscious is impressed through consistency, not by shouting, but by still, persistent suggestion. What you whisper in silence again and again becomes the command, and it must obey. There is no other outcome. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you love. If a child came to you afraid, would you shame them? If a friend doubted themselves, would you discourage them? Then do not speak cruelty within. Do not rehearse your failures. Do not relive your trauma. These are not reflections. They are reinforcements. You must become your own healer, your own encourager, your own guide. Reprogramming the subconscious is not about fighting thoughts. It is about feeding new ones. Darkness does not need to be pushed out. It vanishes when light enters. So too does lack disappear when abundance is affirmed with feeling. Fear dissolves when love becomes the new song of the heart. Do not war with the old, plant the new, and tend it with patience. Your inner conversations are the blueprint of your future. Every time you say, this never works, or I don't deserve this, or it's too late, you are instructing your reality to reflect those words. But if you begin to say, I am chosen, everything works for me, my life is unfolding in perfect order, then the subconscious, impartial and infinite, begins to shape these truths into form. There is nothing outside of you holding you back. No force opposes you but your own neglected power. The moment you become deliberate in speech, conscious in thought, and faithful in vision, the entire world begins to rearrange, not because you begged it to, but because the creative womb of life has accepted your command. Guard your inner speech. Watch the tone of your nightly thoughts. Before sleep, do not drift into worry. Drift into your fulfilled desire. Let the last word of your day be a declaration of who you truly are. I am secure. I am wealthy. I am loved. It is done. As you sleep, the subconscious receives this seed, and while you rest, it begins to grow. You may not see the shoot immediately, but the soil never forgets the seed. This is not a game of chance. It is a divine law. What you accept as true in feeling, your subconscious makes real. So choose your truth. Feed it gently, feed it daily, and trust that all things are answering to you. Not tomorrow, but now. Creation is finished. What you call into the subconscious with conviction must come forth. Everything in your world, your wealth, your health, your relationships, your opportunities, is shaped and determined by one central thing, your concept of self. It is the most sacred possession you hold, though most are unaware of its influence. The world that appears so external is merely a shadow, cast by the light of who you believe yourself to be. Until you alter your concept of self, nothing changes permanently. You may see temporary shifts, short-lived improvements, or momentary results, but the world will always return to reflect your true assumption about you. The concept of self is not what you declare publicly, it is what you whisper in the silence of your being. It is the answer to the unspoken question, who am I? It is the invisible identity you carry into every room, behind every conversation, and under every decision. If you see yourself as a failure, no amount of action will produce success. If you see yourself as unloved, No amount of attention will satisfy the need. The law is absolute. You will always express outwardly what you have accepted inwardly. To change your life, you must begin where all change begins, within. You must lay down the old image and boldly assume a new one. You must let go of who you've been told you are, who the past says you are, who facts insist you are, and claim instead the version of yourself that aligns with your desire. Desire is not a temptation, it is a signal. It is your higher self calling you to a new concept, and to respond you must agree internally with that vision. You may say, but I do not yet have the evidence. I do not yet see the result, and I tell you, the evidence appears only after the identity is established. The seed does not sprout before it is planted. The outer must yield to the inner, not the reverse. Do not wait for the world to confirm your new self. That is not faith, that is sight, and sight follows conviction. When you assume the identity of one who is abundant, the world cannot help but confirm it. It must, for your state of consciousness is the only cause. Many attempt to change their results while remaining in the same self-concept. They try harder, they speak louder, they move faster, but nothing truly shifts, because they are still the same in essence. The poor man begging for riches, the unloved begging for love, the timid begging for confidence. Each is trying to gather the fruit without changing the tree. And the tree is the self. As long as you remain who you were, you will receive what you always have. Transformation does not begin with the outer. It begins with a quiet declaration, I am now the one I desire to be. And though the facts around you may shout the opposite, you must ignore them. The world of appearances is only the echo of your past concept. Do not fight the echo. Change the source. Assume now that you are the person who already has, already is, already lives the reality you want to see. Walk in it internally. Feel it in your bones. Think from it, not toward it. This is the secret of dominion. The moment you assume a new concept of self, everything begins to shift to support it. People change, circumstances bend, opportunities align, not by your doing, but by the law's doing. You do not need to know how the bridge will appear. You only need to stay in the state of being. From that state, your world reshapes to match the new vibration you hold. Do not be discouraged if the change feels unfamiliar. That is a sign of growth. The old self will attempt to reassert itself. It will whisper doubts. It will point to the past. It will show you mirrors of failure. But you must remain faithful to the new image, not because you see it, but because you are it. And what you are, the world must reflect. Think now of any area in your life that is not as you wish it to be. Ask yourself, what self-concept must I be holding that gives rise to this condition? Be honest. You may find that you have carried unworthy images of limitation, doubt, fear, guilt. But these are not truths. They are only adopted identities, and what has been adopted can be abandoned. The new concept is yours the moment you choose it. Repetition is the key. You must rehearse the new self daily, through imagination, through inner speech, through feeling. You must revise the scenes of your life in your mind until they reflect your new self. Speak to yourself as the one who already is. Say, I am successful. I am loved. I am free. I am powerful. I am enough. And say it not to convince, but to awaken. The concept of self is the core of manifestation. You cannot consistently experience anything that is not aligned with your identity, so choose wisely. Choose with authority. You are the author of your state, and your state writes the script of your life. Let the script be worthy of who you truly are. For once you become the one who has, the world will respond in kind, not as a reward, but as a reflection. To live in the end is to enter the sacred space of creation. It is to move beyond hoping and into knowing, beyond wishing and into being. This principle is not about escape or fantasy. It is the fundamental law of all manifestation. You must assume the state of the wish fulfilled as though it were already your present reality. You do not long for it, you do not chase it, you become it. This inner shift is not performed once and forgotten. It is a dwelling, a state of consciousness you must inhabit. When you live in the end, you are not concerned with the mechanics of how your desire will unfold. You do not trouble yourself with when or through whom or by what means it will come. That is the domain of the unseen intelligence that shapes all things, according to the pattern impressed upon it. Your only responsibility is to enter into the feeling that your desire is already yours, and to remain faithful to that inner condition despite the evidence of your senses. There is great discipline in living in the end, for it requires you to turn your back on appearances. The outer world may deny your desire, it may contradict it entirely, yet if you persist in your assumption, if you refuse to be shaken by the facts will bend. They must, for they are only the result of former thoughts and emotions. To remain tied to the old evidence is to perpetuate the old state. But when you live in the end, you cast a new shadow, and in time, that shadow solidifies into experience. Imagination is the means by which you enter the end. You must see and feel and touch the scene of your fulfilled desire in the silence of your mind. It must become as real to you as your present surroundings. You do not imagine from the outside looking in, you place yourself within the experience. You are not the observer, you are the participant. If your desire is to be successful, do not merely picture. If your desire is love, do not merely crave affection. Feel the warmth of already being chosen, already being held, already being seen. This dwelling place is not a momentary act. It is a continued residence. Every time you return to the feeling of lack, every time you react to the delay, every time you question the process, you are stepping out of the end and back into the beginning. But when you persist, when you maintain the tone of completion, even in silence, you are feeding the roots of your new reality. And though unseen, the seed is growing. You do not need to force anything in the outer world. Action may arise, but it is not action that causes change, it is your state. And action taken from the end is far more powerful than action taken in desperation. When you move as one who already is, the world responds differently. People sense it. Events unfold in harmony. The right words are spoken, the right doors open, the right moments align, not by effort, but by the natural outflow of your assumption. Living in the end is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is agreement with the truth that consciousness precedes form. When you assume that your desire is fulfilled, you are not pretending, you are selecting. You are choosing a new frame through which life must express itself. You are walking in the unseen until the unseen becomes seen. And that transformation cannot be stopped if the state is maintained. There is no power outside of the state. You cannot hold an assumption of lack while trying to attract abundance. You cannot feel lonely and bring in love. You cannot speak of health while nurturing fear. The outer world does not determine the inner state. It is the inner state that gives birth to the outer world. This is why the law commands that you live from the end, not toward it, not beside it, not near it, but from it. Ask yourself daily, am I thinking from the end or of the end? When you think of your desire, it remains separate, distant, conditional. But when you think from it, you collapse the distance, you make it present. And in the world of consciousness, the present is the only reality. Time itself must bend to the one who dwells in the end, for time is but the unfolding of inner causation. It is easy to believe what you see, but it is divine to believe before the evidence arrives. That is the test of faith. To hold the inner picture so steadily, so lovingly, so vividly that the world must conform. You are not here to repeat the old story. You are here to write a new one. And that story begins not with action, but with assumption. When you assume the end, when you live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your story is already finished. You are merely watching the pages turn. There are no new creations, no future selves waiting to be born, no distant outcomes to chase. Everything already exists. Every version of you, the weak and the strong, the broken and the whole, the poor and the prosperous, the rejected and the adored, is alive now within the infinite field of consciousness. You are not here to create anything from nothing. You are here to select, to align, and to awaken the self you have always been in truth. In this divine matrix, every possibility already is. You do not climb toward your desire. You collapse into it by assuming the state of that version of yourself who already possesses it. There is no striving in this process. There is only selection. You choose through assumption, and that assumption begins to harden into fact. It is not the outer world that changes first, it is your inner identity that shifts. You move from one state to another, not by distance, but by consciousness. What separates the version of you who lives in lack from the one who lives in abundance is not time, not merit, not opportunity, it is state. And state is determined by what you accept as true. When you assume the identity of one who has, you instantly begin to radiate the vibration of that reality. That vibration must be matched. You have already lived 1,000 lives. You have already spoken in the language of kings and slept in the fields of silence. You have already known triumph, joy, intimacy, and power, not in memory, but in potential. And when you claim that identity within, you pull it forward into form. The 3D world rearranges, not because you force it, but because you are no longer a match to the previous state. You are now radiating from the center of a new being. The mind will often protest, but I am not there yet. I do not feel it. I do not see it. That voice belongs to the old self, the one who is bound to facts and appearances. But facts are echoes, and appearances are only shadows of what was. The only truth is what you claim within, and when you dare to accept a new version of yourself, without evidence, without proof, you initiate a spiritual migration. You step into a parallel identity, and the world begins to follow you. Your senses are trained to register delay. They report the absence of what you want, but spirit knows no delay. In the unseen realm, everything is immediate. Once you assume a state in consciousness, you are it. And though the outer may take time to reflect it, the change is complete within. To dwell in the state faithfully is to bring the invisible to the visible. You do not beg for a better life. You claim it, you wear it, you speak from it. This is not delusion. This is divine selection. Let us imagine for a moment that you desire to be confident. Do not ask how to become confident. Ask instead, what does the confident version of me think, feel, wear, say, and expect? Then do not imitate that self, be that self. Assume its inner rhythm, adopt its mood. Let your inner tone be saturated with the assurance that confidence is your natural state. You will feel it, at first, as unfamiliar. You may even feel fraudulent. But that is only the resistance of the old self dissolving. The process of embodying a new version of yourself is not theatrical. You are not performing for others. You are aligning with your source. You are not faking, you are remembering. You are calling forth what already exists within the infinite, and by choosing it deliberately, you are activating it. The world will respond in kind. People will see the shift. Circumstances will begin to reflect it. But only after you hold the state long enough for the reflection to catch up. Every version of you is encoded with its own timeline, its own opportunities, its own relationships, its own material reflections. You are not summoning those things. They are already attached to the version you select. Once you embody that self, those things are drawn toward you like iron to a magnet, not because you are chasing them, but because they are seeking you, the you that matches their frequency. This is why living in reaction is so futile. Reaction keeps you in the old self. It binds you to the past. It keeps the field of infinite selves locked out of reach. But when you become still, when you enter the silence, and when you deliberately choose a new concept of self, you unlock the path to a parallel version of your world. The people around you may not change, but your relationship to them will. The same setting will birth different outcomes because you are no longer seeing from the same lens. You must trust that what you feel as real inwardly is already real in the invisible. You must believe that once you assume a state, all that belongs to that state begins to move toward you. Do not interfere with the how. Do not contaminate the process with doubt. Let the new version of yourself breathe and move and speak within you. Nourish it, speak to it, dress it in imagination. Let it grow so large within that it pushes the old self aside without effort. You are never stuck. You are never limited to what you have experienced before. You are only ever one assumption away from a completely different reality. And that assumption is not a dream, it is a doorway. Every version of you already exists. The only question is, which one will you choose to become now? There is a silent force within you that governs the movement of your entire world. It is not found in the noise of external effort, nor in the anxious pursuit of results. It is not moved by doubt, nor does it answer to repetition alone. It responds only to one thing: inner conviction. Not desire, not hope, but conviction. Deep, unshakable knowing that what you assume yourself to be is already a fact. Regardless of what the senses suggest, this conviction is the secret to rulership. It is the invisible scepter that bends reality into alignment. The outer world is a delayed echo. It does not create, it reflects. If you attempt to change it without altering your inner stance, you are only rearranging shadows. You may alter conditions temporarily through action, but they will revert if the root, the state you hold within, is not transformed. When you change the cause, the effect must change. And the cause is always your dominant assumption, your sustained inner belief about who you are and what is true of you. Conviction does not scream. It does not need to. It walks calmly, speaks gently, and rests in certainty. To possess conviction is to be at peace in the middle of contradiction. It is to walk in the awareness of completion, even when surrounded by lack. This does not mean ignoring facts, but transcending them. You do not deny what your senses report. You simply refuse to accept them as the final truth. You choose instead to believe in the unseen, to feel the reality of the invisible, and to rest in that reality until the outer matches the inner. You cannot be double-minded and expect transformation. To waver between belief and doubt is to cancel the signal. You must be single-eyed, fully persuaded that your inner state will express itself. You must allow no second opinion to weaken your claim. Conviction is not found in words repeated like magic. Conviction is born when your inner eye sees and your inner ear hears the reality of your fulfilled desire as if it were now. There is no room for waiting in the realm of conviction. When you wait, you postpone. When you believe it is coming, you push it away. To wait is to acknowledge separation. But when you know that it is already yours, that it is already done, you release the need to chase. You walk in gratitude. You respond as though the outcome has already arrived, and the law, being faithful, responds accordingly. It cannot withhold what you already are. Many wonder why their manifestations do not appear, even after long hours of affirmations and visualizations. The reason is not the method. It is the absence of conviction. If you say, "I am wealthy," but feel anxious, if you declare, "I am loved," but feel alone, the dominant state is not your words, but your emotion. You are always manifesting what you feel to be true, not what you say with your lips. The law reads the vibration, not the vocabulary. Inner conviction is the soil into which the seed of your desire is planted. Without it, the seed cannot root. It withers beneath the surface of disbelief. But with it, the desire grows naturally, effortlessly into form. This is why your only real task is to maintain the assumption with feeling until you no longer have to try, until it becomes natural, until it becomes your dwelling place. This dwelling is not a place of struggle. It is not a place of striving. It is still. It is quiet. It is a calm awareness that what you have assumed is unfolding precisely as it must. You no longer need proof. You no longer look outside for validation. You know that what you have accepted within will show itself without. You trust the process not because it is logical, but because it is law. There comes a moment when you no longer seek evidence because the inner experience has become more real than the outer. This is the mark of conviction. When your desire ceases to feel distant, when it no longer feels like a goal but like your identity, then you have entered the state that creates. You are no longer asking, you are being. From this state, action flows without effort. Words arise without fear. Encounters unfold without manipulation. You become magnetic, not because you are trying to attract, but because you are already aligned. Everything begins to move toward you, not as a reward, but as a mirror. The world has no choice but to reflect what you believe yourself to be. And when you believe unwaveringly, the reflection must appear. The power is not in force. The power is in stillness. It is in the silent agreement with your imagination. It is in the consistent return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is in the quiet confidence that you are the source, not the seeker. When you stand in that knowing, the entire structure of your world begins to shift, not dramatically at first, but undeniably. Subtle changes become visible. Old doors close, new ones open. People reappear or vanish, and through it all, you remain still within, anchored in your truth. You do not need to convince others. You do not need to explain. The one who holds true conviction never argues. They never chase. They simply know. And that knowing becomes the law by which their world is formed. Inner conviction rules the outer world, not by dominance, but by divine alignment. And the moment you accept this truth, your rulership begins. So now you see, the world you walk through is not separate from you. It is not a collection of random events or distant forces. It is your own consciousness made visible. Every person you meet, every situation you encounter, every pattern you repeat is showing you, you. And if you would change anything in that reflection, you must first change your inner state. You are the operant power, the dreamer dreaming and awaking within your own creation. Do not look outside for permission. Do not wait for proof before you believe. Assume the highest truth about yourself and live from that truth now. Feel it real. Speak it into the silence. Saturate your subconscious with visions of what is already yours in the unseen. And when the world seems unchanged, remain faithful still. For the delay is not denial. It is simply the time required for the echo to reach you. Everything you desire, every version of you that has ever lived in your imagination exists now, not in some far-off future, but in this eternal present. And all that is required is that you choose, feel, and dwell in the state of the fulfilled. When you do, the mirror of life bends to reflect the image you hold within. There is no one to change but self. There is nothing to conquer but belief. And there is nothing to seek that is not already within you. You are the beginning and the end, the seed and the harvest, the cause and the effect. Everything is you. Understand this and rule your world.